today's session. So today we are going to go through the prep work for your headstand. So if you've never done a headstand before, this is the ideal place to start. Don't dive straight into this without doing a warm up. So go back through the videos, find something which is, upper body strength warm up, making sure you've done your wrists and that as well, because although we're doing headstands, we are using our wrists a little bit as well. So just making sure that you've done something for your upper body and wrists to warm up before you start doing this. So we are working on a headstand, but away from the wall, which is going to normally make people go, ah, I want to be next to the wall. The reason I don't like teaching this up against the wall is because naturally, as we kick over, feet trying to reach the wall, we put an arch in our back. And with balances, one of the most important things is that everything is all stacked and aligned, and we're really trying to focus on tucking that pelvis under, which is really difficult if you are kicking to reach for a wall. Your leg kind of tends to drag you backwards. So I like to teach this away from the wall. First thing I want you to know is that there are two common ways to enter into your headstand. So we have the options of interlacing fingers, and as we come down, so I'm going to interlace my fingers, and my head is going to go onto the floor with my hands around. When we say headstand as well, I don't want you to get overwhelmed and think everything is coming into your head. It's not at all. The best way to figure out where you're going with your headstand is to grab a block, and my hair's pretty giving me away, place it on your head here, and that's your balancing spot. So if you're here or here, then you're going to compress on your spine, and it's dangerous basically. We don't want to be pressing into our spine. We want that balancing spot. So if at any point your neck feels sore, then come straight down, because the chances are you're on the incorrect position of your head. So get used to finding that position, your balancing block, okay? So option number one, here. Option number two is a tripod setup, and you're going to have your hands on the floor with your hands roughly in line with your chest, and then your head is the top of the triangle. So those are your two options. If you've not done a headstand before, play around with both. I prefer this way, but there are other people that prefer this way. And I'll be honest with you, with some future movements, when you're working on transitions, this is easier to move in and out of different positions. So we want to master both. But of course, whilst we're learning, we're going to pick one, the one which feels the most comfortable to us, work with that one, and then we'll add on the second one. So we've got our setup right. We know where we're placing our head. Now, how do we get up into our headstand without kicking into a wall and creating that back bend that we want to avoid? So this is our initial entrance that we're going to work on. What you're going to do is you're going to place your head down into position. You're going to walk your feet in close to your body until you pike up. From here, I'm going to think about bending in one knee to my chest like this, and then bring the other one in to your chest too. Don't worry if that's not happening. I have the next step to make it a bit easier. I'm just going to show you that again. And remember what I said to you about stacking. So we want the hips to come up and over your shoulders. The closer you walk your feet in, the easier that is to achieve, which is where flexibility then comes into play. So if when you put yourself into position, you find your feet aren't walking up, your hips aren't going as high as you like, go and stretch those hamstrings, okay? That's what's going to help you get in, working on compression and hamstring flexibility. So I'm going to show you that again. Notice how when I come up into the headstand, my knees are tucked in tight to my chest, okay? I see that very often. People's like taking their foot away from their body. So I'll show you what I mean, which is what we don't want to happen. That's going to start to create that back arch. I want to keep nice and tucked in. So when I'm in my headstand, I don't really feel it in my head. The reason I don't feel it in my head is because I'm hugging my elbows in, I'm pressing out of my shoulders, so everything is being loaded here. My core is also working, I'm tucking that pelvis under, so my back supporting my core and my core supporting my back, and it's all just squeezing in nice and tight, so I'm not just going ugh and dumping into my head. So I understand that you might think, oh, but what if I topple over? All that's going to do is turn into a little roly-poly, back forward roll. So if you haven't done one of those in a long time, I would recommend trying one of those. So just one of these, so coming into position, there. That is going to again be easier in here. If you're in this grip, you're just going to have to separate your fingers as you go. Just put lots of cushions and everything on the other side of you. You're not going to hurt yourself as long as you just think about tucking, chin into your chest as you exit. Secondly, maybe that's not working out with a tuck. This is where blocks come in, okay? So remember I said to you it's easier the higher you get your hips up and stacked over, and that can be difficult if you don't have the compression and the flexibility strength. So we're going to use blocks to help us. So you can use as many blocks as you like. So start with fewer. So maybe start with one. If you can achieve it with one, then you know that's your starting point. But if you can't, add 2 and then 3, as many as you need to get that initial lift. Because what I don't want happening is being here, kicking. If you're kicking, you're not using your muscles. And the whole idea of creating these shapes and these balances is that we are learning how to control our muscles. If you're kicking, you're not controlling. And I know there are a lot of instructors which will kind of allow this and maybe even encourage this just to get you up into the shape. Don't. Slow down, trust the process, enjoy the journey. You're not expected to get a headstand on first attempt. So there's no point in you kicking and then having to unlearn all of that bad behaviour to then be able to effectively do it and be able to lift into that. Let's train the muscles correctly from the very beginning, and it's just going to feel like a lot smoother, even if it takes a little bit longer. But that's fine, it's fun. Even if it's, you know, it's not just about the end result, it's about the journey. So, blocks, exactly the same. I'm just going to pop my feet onto the blocks and then put my head down on the floor. Same thing, packing up. And you should see how at that point my hips are naturally so much higher. I've not had to work to walk them in, and then I haven't got to tuck in my pelvis and squeeze with my core as much to lift my leg up. So my initial leg is going to lift up a lot easier. So you see that first leg that's lifted is almost on my chest already with the help of the blocks. So I hope you find those tips useful. This is obviously your beginner's entrance into your headstand. Once we've mastered that, there will be other videos how to enter with a pike lift, a straddle lift, and like I said, so many different variations. But if you're new to headstands, this is where I want you to start. And like I said, don't think about it as a race. Don't think about it as, oh, I'm doing a headstand video today, I must have a headstand today. No. Let's work through using all those muscles, engaging through pushing into your shoulders, tucking that pelvis under so we have no arched back, and squeezing that leg into your thigh bone, into your chest to create that tuck position. Remember to explore with both positions. Do a warm-up video first. If you find that your compression is lacking or your hamstring flexibility is lacking, then you know what you need to work on as well to then go make it easier for you. So have a good workout first, core, hamstrings, compression, and then work on that headstand shape. Let me know how you get on. Tag me on Instagram, drop any comments below. Let me know if you are already able to do that, and I'll get a pike video up sharpish and a straddle video. And like I say, so many different things to play around with, but I hope that helps. Remember to have fun and safety, tuck in that chin to chest if you need to bail. You don't need the wall. You've got this, okay?